Let's apply the idea behind activity-based costing and look at a basic example. LDA Draperies, Inc. makes custom draperies for homes and businesses. The company uses an activity-based costing system for its overhead costs. The company has allocated the manufacturing overhead cost to the activities, that is a Stage 1 allocation, required to produce the products as shown below. So we've got a simple example where there are 3 activities. We have cutting and sewing that expects $80,000 of cost. Product design costs are supposed to be $30,000 and machine setup cost $5,000. Cutting and sewing cost is allocated based on labor hours, and product design costs are allocated equally to each product line. Expected activity information is shown below. Units produced, 500 for the home drape line, 1,500 for the business drape line. Direct labor hours required, 800 and 1,200. Number of setups, 20 and 30. Which product line consumes relatively more resources on a per unit basis? Now recall the activity was given to be home drapes. There would be 500 units produced, business drapes 1,500 units. So right away you can see that we're producing 3 times as many business drapes as compared to home drapes. Now we're asking which consumes relatively more resources on a per unit basis. Clearly, business drapes require more resources overall, but they don't require more on a per unit basis because, as you'll see, while you're producing 3 times as many business drapes, you're not requiring 3 times as many direct labor hours. Also, business drapes don't require 3 times as many setups. So overall, what this means is that while business drapes overall consume more resources, on a per unit basis, more is required to produce the home drapes. Now we'll compute the activity rates for each of the activities required. This is where you'll need to identify your activities. We have 3: cutting and sewing, product design, and setup. So this would be like step 1. You need to identify your activities, and then you would need to identify the cost associated with those and the activity base that drives them. That would be step 2, so that you can calculate the rate. Cutting and sewing expects $80,000 of cost, and that cost is driven by labor hours. We were told that earlier in the problem, and 2,000 total direct labor hours are required for both product lines. So we get $40 per direct labor hour. For product design, we have $30,000 of cost, and this cost is allocated equally to your product lines, and you have 2 product lines. So that would be $15,000 per line. Setup costs are $5,000, and we expect a total of 50 setups, or $100 per setup. So these are our activity rates, and now in Part C, we are asked to determine the manufacturing overhead cost per unit for the home products line under ABC. You will need to apply overhead using all 3 activity rates. Cutting and sewing, our rate was $40 per direct labor hour, and 800 hours are required to produce the home line. That's $32,000. Product design was $15,000 per line, and the home line comprises one of 2 product lines. So we'll allocate $15,000 of the $30,000 to the home line. Setup cost, our rate was $100 per setup. 20 setups are expected by the home line. $2,000 will be allocated to the home products line. Our total overhead allocated is $49,000. Now this is just the overhead. We've not been given the direct material and direct labor information. We are going to produce 500 units of the home line given in the problem, which means our cost per unit is $98. Now you'll want to work a more comprehensive example, so be sure to tune back in.